Hello everyone, Exony here with another Team Fortress 2 gameplay, and once again, it's the Spy using the Wanga Prick, which is just a reskin of your Eternal Reward, the Cloak and Dagger, and the Let Ranger. I don't know how to pronounce it right. So, it's been about a week since I released the Snowplow video using the same loadout, and I've really been having a lot of fun using just this loadout. And I'd have to say it's one of my favorite loadouts from this update. I'm not the best spy in the world. You can probably see that through some of this. Like, I probably could have gotten that medic if I tried, but I instead went for the soldier and the demo man. But it's a really fun loadout, and I mean, the spy got a lot of changes in this update. Like, the Dead Ring are giving you a speed boost, and the Big Earner are giving you a speed boost. Those two are really fun to use. I mean, I have a lot of fun just zipping around as Spy. You know, Spy isn't supposed to move that fast in the first place. But, I mean, when I run around with the Big Earner, my biggest problem with it is the low health that you have just for having it out. And, I mean, it's not too bad you have 100 health, but that means one good rocket's gonna kill you. And the new Dead Ringer doesn't absorb too much damage now. It got nerfed a bit. So, you have less protection while using the Big Earner. So you don't really want to stick around and use your revolver to try to fight, because one good shot from anyone's gonna take you out, is my main concern with that new change. As fun as it is. But then, this one, you have the normal spy health, and you've got the normal effect of the Eternal Reward, where you can't disguise, and you disguise by backstabbing. Which is just normal, it's been that way for a long time. But then, you have this added bonus of the Cloak and Dagger, which before was this weapon that you just kind of, you would use to sit in the corner and maybe troll your friends with it. Just kind of wait for them to show up. But now, they've given it such an increase in mobility and the same kind of increase in survivability that the normal stock Inviswatch got. Which, the defenses you get, now while you're cloaked, you have like a 20% increased damage reduction. So that means, if you get shot for 100 damage, you take 80% damage, which is really good. I mean, that makes the spy so much more useful. You can, like, there's a chance of you getting through a choke point now if you're not using a Dead Ringer, which was problems with, like, older maps like Dust Bowl. Didn't really use an Inviswatch if they, like, you had to get through one of those choke points. That was kind of Dead Ringer and plowed your way through it. But now you can tank a bit of damage. The other big change to the survivability of the watches is that now you, like, lose effects like Girardi and bleeding faster, which is really nice to have. I mean, if you're on fire, I've had a situation where I got down to, I invised, and it ticked me down to 1 health and then went away. And if I hadn't been invisible, I would have died there. So that's a really cool change too. But then on the other topics of this update, I don't know why that medic just let me backstab him there, but I'll go with it. But the main change, or the only change to the Cloak and Dagger, but the reason I want to use it more now is because I see it as the best of both worlds with the Inviswatch and the old Cloak and Dagger. Because now, with this Cloak and Dagger buff, you can pick up ammo packs off of the ground. I mean, they give you less cloak, but you can pick them up while you're not cloaked. So, this pretty much means, if you're smart at conserving your cloak, you can walk around, get behind enemy lines, check for an ammo pack, make sure no one's watching you, pick it up, and refill your cloak. It has a reduced amount that you pick up, and the Cloak and Dagger consumes cloak faster, but I like to off-put that by using the Let Ranger with it. And you might be like, oh, that means you don't really have a pistol to rely on. But, I mean, I never really, when you're using the Eternal Reward or the Wanga Prick, you don't really rely on your pistol that much because you don't want to drop your disguise so much. But the reason I love using the Cloak and Dagger a lot more with your Eternal Reward is just because you can go and cloak up in a corner. Or you can set yourself up in positioning a lot better than you could do with a normal Inviswatch. For example, that first pick you have to get with your Eternal Reward, the first disguise you have to get, because you can't disguise on your own. You have to wait to get a pick. And if the other team doesn't have, like, a sniper who doesn't know what's going on, or someone who's just kind of oblivious, that can be kind of hard to do. But this means you have to have good positioning, and you have to wait for the right time to, jump in while everyone's distracted. With the normal Inviswatch, you kind of had to wait for that moment to happen, so it wasn't as reliable. But with the Cloak and Dagger, I can get myself into a good position and wait there. Like this spot under this ramp right here is really good because they'll walk right over here. I mean, whoever really checks that corner unless you've been stabbed already from coming from that corner. Right here too, this little corner here. I'm gonna just pick some people off because they didn't notice me. So there's some really cool spots in maps like that that really helps to have a Cloak and Dagger in. And with the Cloak and Dagger, because you can hold your position like that, you can choose when you want to go out, when you want to get in there. Unlike with the Invis Watch, if you're in a corner and like you don't really have anywhere to go, you have to wait, and you can't really. I mean, unless there's an ammo pack near you, you have to go in. Like you don't really have a choice at that point. It's my huge problem with this. I mean, the cloak is still better, I think, when you just want to be extremely mobile, because you can pick up the ammo while you're invisible. And it's a lot better with a normal knife. And also the Dead Ringer is still way better if you want to be hyper aggressive than this one. But this watch lets you take a more careful approach, which is why I like it with your Eternal Reward. I mean, how many times am I going to say your Eternal Reward in this? Because I like it with this weapon. Just because it gives me that mixture. Makes me lose a little bit of mobility and a little bit of aggressiveness, but it lets me get the positioning I want, which is all I really want with this weapon, because positioning is everything really as Spy. You want to make sure you decloak at the right time. Like I get a chain stab right there because they're all distracted by that demo man, and I might not have been able to get that with a normal Invis Watch or someone. I don't know, it's a good weapon. I really love it with this setup. And yeah, I'm gonna just gush over that a bit more now. So, the Your Eternal Reward is one of my favorite weapons as Spy to use in just a normal server. Mostly because I don't really have to worry about what I'm disguising as. It takes away one of those things as Spy that I have to worry about. Because usually I'm like, oh, I have to change up my disguise every time. But with this, it's like I am whoever I am. But the downside of that is if you stab a heavy, you're stuck moving at heavy speed. But that's offset by having the Cloak and Dagger, because with the Cloak and Dagger you can just cloak up. And you move at normal speed while you're cloaked, you don't move at the class you're disguised at speed, which is always nice. Also about the Wanga Prick, it's just a reskin of the Eternal Reward, but so I could say either or. But I like saying Wanga Prick because I think it's a lot cooler weapon than the Eternal Reward. Mostly as it's got a little skull and it's like a little needle. But I really like it also. It's a silent killer, and if you're not really looking for it, you might not notice a Spy like disguising as someone else, which is really good for me. I mean, I'm kind of a bad Spy sometimes. I get impatient a lot, and I want to go in for like those big chain stabs, and this one lets you do that. Like you can just get in and you'll start disguising as the enemies. Another really thing I like about it, talking about getting in there, is this is my favorite knife for destroying a sentry nest with. Because if I have a disguise, I don't have to worry about backstabbing the engineer and the sentry shooting me. Like right here, I'm going to backstab the engineer and just disguise as him. So I don't have to worry about like maneuvering around his sentry as it starts to turn, because I have a disguise. Unlike with a normal knife where I'd have to worry about the, what's it called? When you stab, you lose your disguise, so that's another reason I really like it. And yeah, those are like the huge reasons why I think this is a good knife. It's probably not as good in like a competitive scene. I don't play much Spy in like competitive or anything. I play a bit of Highlander, but not as Spy. But it's probably not as good in a situation where everyone's a lot more organized. So that's something. But in public play, which is what I do a lot of, just in, you know, normal servers, Valve servers and such, it's fun. I like it. And so that's all I have with Spy, but I'm gonna give you a bit of extra. Here's a complete heavy gameplay for you. See you on the flip side, homie.